On the hunt for comfortable, timeless Western boots? You already know the best place to shop for quality boots is at your local Tacova store. So stop by Tacova's Nashville at the Mall at Green Hills or on Broadway by Ryman Auditorium. That's right, you now have 2 locations to choose from. Grab a cold one as you shop and get fitted by a pro. Tacova's Nashville is at your service, and you can find your perfectly fitted dream boots with the help of their expert staff. Everyone will be asking where you got your sick new boots, but I won't be asking because I know they must be Tacova's. That's TECOVAS.com. Don't go gently, y'all. Today on CityCast Nashville, Metro Nashville Public Schools start tomorrow, and we have Dr. Adrienne Battle, Metro's Director of Schools, here to tell us what's in store for students this year. As a childless woman in her late 20s, I'm not super familiar with the parental responsibilities of back-to-school season, but you know who is? Margaret Kingsbury, our Hey Nashville newsletter editor. She's going to host this one with her lovely voice and parental expertise. CityCast Nashville is presented by our exclusive launch sponsor, Tacova's. It's August 5th. I'm Grace Fuse, and this is what Nashville's talking about. Take it away, Margaret.
Hi, Dr. Battle. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm Margaret Kingsbury, your friendly Hey Nashville newsletter editor. As CityCast Nashville's token parent, this is the perfect episode for me to host because my child is a first grader at Metro Public Schools, and we're really looking forward to school starting tomorrow. With that said, what exciting things does Metro have in store for their students this year?
Well, we are so excited for the start of the school year. We're excited to welcome back all of our 80,000 plus students, including your first grader, in just a few days. We have been hard at work in planning lots of exciting things in store for this upcoming school year. We're tripling down on what works, and we're committed to our Tier 1 instruction. In fact, we're really leveraging the successes of the academic performance and growth of our students from last school year to really propel and accelerate our students and just uplifting their talents and tapping into them for the 24-25 school year. We do have our mantra in Metro Nashville Public Schools, which I believe is so exciting and speaks to the hearts and minds and passions of all of our stakeholders around every student being known. And that's our mantra. We're working hard every day and planning with our teams to ensure that every student is known. And that goes beyond just knowing their names. I mean, this is really about knowing their aspirations and tapping into their talents and figuring out that strong formula that just works for all of our students to be able to thrive. We have a continuous improvement mindset, and we say all the time, know where you are, but don't stay there. That gives us an opportunity to really uplift all of our students and our wonderful educators, focus in on their talents. And what we've seen by focusing in our core areas around our focus outcomes and supporting the whole child is that we've had record levels of success.
And I noticed that the TCAP scores rose in every subject area for every grade. Isn't that right?
That is correct. So we realize achievement growth, as you mentioned, across every content area. So math, English, language arts, science, social studies, and at every grade level. And so I often say, yes, that means every tested grade level, that is grades 3 through 11. Our students really demonstrated their talents and their ability to be able to leverage the knowledge and skills that they acquire year after year as a part of their TCAP and, of course, exams.
And what kind of specific programs are you really excited about?
I'm really excited about our scholars portfolio. We have a very robust plan of how we meet students where they are to ensure that they excel in everything that they do. So everything from our Promising Scholars program that happens over the summer really extends the school year for a month for our MNPS children, to our Accelerating Scholars program, which is high dosage tutoring that allows us to intervene frequently and immediately to make sure students are on track to meet and exceed their targets. And we also offer a program called Enriching Scholars, which extends the school week into the weekend and allows for our students to have safe learning environments with teachers and educators and other volunteers that they're familiar with to really double down on their skills. And at the same time, with all these programs, we bring in the joy of learning because we want our students to enjoy learning, to be passionate about it, but also being confident in their ability to continue to grow and learn.
My daughter was in the Promising Scholars over the summer, and she loved it and was so sad when it ended.
I know. We get that
Yeah.
feedback all the time. My
Yeah.
oldest son also participated. He absolutely loved his experience. And most frequently, I mean, to your point, the question is, how can we do more of this? And so that is something that we're constantly thinking about, because when we're able to meet a need for our families, for our children, we definitely want to step up and be responsive. And despite some of the funding that is going away nationally, we're so proud that we're able to maintain our Promising Scholars for the near future.
That's great news. Where is the funding coming from? For those who don't know, a lot of these programs were funded by the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief, called ESSER. This was federal legislation that sent funds to states across the nation to help with pandemic programs. Tennessee received $4.2 billion.
So school districts all across the country are facing what we've called and termed a fiscal cliff, because the ESSER funding was intended from the very beginning 4 years ago to be non-recurring funds to help schools and school districts respond to the impact that the distractions caused by the pandemic. And so those funds are set to sunset. In fact, the end of this past school year, and everything must be fully expended by the end of September. We're so fortunate in Nashville that we have such a strong relationship with our city leaders. So our school board, being the fierce advocates that they are, prioritizing the needs of our students, keeping them at the heart of everything we do, and of course supporting our leaders. We've worked closely with Mayor O'Connell. We've worked closely with Metro Council. Again, our board has been at the forefront of the conversations, and we've created in Nashville an ESSER bridge. And so we're not facing the cliff this year because we received approval from city leadership to leverage some of our fund balance funding to maintain many of the programs and services that we've been providing over the last 4 years that have yielded such strong results for our children. And so we have worked to maintain that over the next year, which is a victory. And we're already working closely around how we're going to move some of those programming and structures, the ones that are most impactful and have strong return on investment for our children, over to our operating budget.
And speaking a little bit on that too, because it does seem like the city supports public education, but the state legislature has been, proposing the school vouchers for private schools. What is the district doing to fight for public education?
Yeah, so we try to make it clear to families that, first of all, we have all kinds of good choices right here in Metro Nashville Public Schools. And sitting from my seat, I'm a product of Metro Nashville Public Schools myself. I spent almost my entire career as a young person, as an adult in Metro Nashville Public Schools. And so part of combating this is making sure that our families are well informed about the resources and the robust portfolio that we have within our system. Whether we like it or not, we have to abide by the laws of Tennessee, but that doesn't mean we don't challenge them when we have a cause to do so. And we will also do that. I mean, one example of that is that we paired up with Shelby County Schools a few years ago to challenge the state's inadequate funding formula under the BEP. We worked closely with Metro government to stop the voucher law from going into effect that targeted just Nashville and Memphis. And we were successful in lower courts before the Supreme Court eventually overturned it. But our team and our board follow rigorous standards for reviewing all the policies and laws that have or could have an implication on our school district. But we do live in a state where school choice is the law. And our best strategy to fight that is to ensure we're providing a great education and great experiences for our families.
How can parents and community members get involved with that?
Yeah, I think, one, there's a level of awareness that we want our families and community to have, and to be able to speak up and advocate for what we know on a local level is best for our children and families. I think one way to really combat that is just being involved and engaged. I mean, the more you're involved and engaged, you have the stories, you have the experiences, you can speak with confidence about the great work happening in and across our school system on a daily basis. I mean, it's easy to create a narrative when you've never been a part of our school community. And so we want our community to be a part and to be engaged by volunteering, reading to students, supporting extracurricular activities or programs of our young people, connecting with Pencil, which is a fabulous foundation here that connects our parents and our leaders and how to get involved in our school system. And At the end of the day, it's really about making sure that we're uplifting our voices and speaking out as a part of the democratic process of what we need here in Nashville, in our community, in our schools for our children.
I crowdsourced some questions, some more specific questions from a group of moms who have students at metro schools, and a lot of them have concerns about overcrowding, especially in Southeast and Northeast Nashville, where some schools are at capacity while others are nowhere near capacity. What's your plan for school growth and rezoning?
Yeah, so we have a very exciting initiative in Metro Nashville Public Schools titled Metro Schools Reimagined. We were very fortunate, and I like to use the term proactive because we launched this initiative even before the pandemic hit back in 2020. And so part of what we're doing is, and I hope this message is loud and clear to our community. Again, this is in partnership with our city. We have been in the process of opening a few new schools. I mean, this is actually a great challenge to have. I think it presents a great opportunity. Just this school year, we opened up two schools, James Lawson High School and also Goodlettsville Elementary School. And so those aren't in the Southeast, but right now we have some just tremendous projects we've already broken ground on, and that is a new building at Percy Priest Elementary School. We've also have construction happening at Lakeview Elementary School that's in the Southeast community, as well as Paragon Mills Elementary School. We're also in the process of purchasing new land to build a new elementary school in the Antioch and Cane Ridge clusters. And so we are responding to the growing needs and kind of shifting in the Southeast community. That's a community I'm very familiar with because I spent a lot of my administrative time serving and supporting schools in the Southeast area. And so I've been watching these trends for quite some time. And so I think the first part of tackling that is getting our facilities prepared and ready and built to meet the demands and needs. And what has kind of created a little bit of the attention of why we've prioritized particularly Paragon Mills and Lakeview is that this will be the first school year that we'll have fifth grade transition back into all of our elementary schools. And this has been a long-standing request of families in the Nashville area to have fifth grade a part of the elementary school experience. And so part of the trade-offs is that we've committed to responding to that need and transitioning fifth grade to the elementary space. And then we are also at the same time shifting our facilities to meet the need.
And I know most parents are excited about moving the fifth graders back in elementary school. That was a relief to me. So
Absolutely. I'm excited about it, and it's already paying dividends. We had our fifth grade students this past year. The majority of our MNPS students, fifth graders, are already in elementary schools, and they had the highest achievement growth out of any tested grade in Metro Nashville Public Schools.
I didn't know that, so that's really interesting. Another concern, unsurprisingly, is about school safety. Parents are worried about school safety. What measures is Metro taking?
Yeah, this is actually not a new concern. I mean, families and students have been concerned about safety and security for quite some time. In fact, when I was a student in Metro Nashville Public Schools, I attended J.T. Moore when the only shooting that ever happened in our public schools occurred. One of my very own classmates tragically died. So this is personal for me. This has been top of mind to me as long as, going all the way back from me being a student of how we can create these spaces. But we are constantly reviewing our safety protocols, particularly with our school teams in partnership with MNPD, our Metro Nashville Police Department, to ensure we're implementing best practices in our schools. If families are listening, I am just proud to say from a national perspective, we have one of the strongest partnerships between schools and our local law enforcement, and in a very protective and safe way for our students. This year, as a continuation from last year, we're continuing to install our shatter-resistant film at all of our schools that would slow or stop a potential intruder from getting into our schools. That's something that through conversations with families and educators, we've talked a lot about. And so we're all about meeting the best national practices around safety and security. We've also worked to ensure that we have a police officer at all of our schools, whether it's in the form of a school resource officer or a community police officer posted outside inside the building. It's important to know that police are not involved in discipline in any way, but they're there to promote safety, to build positive relationships, and to be a resource to staff. But I will say what we won't do is ask our teachers, our staff members to carry weapons in our schools. We're not asking our educators to do that. They wear many, many hats already, and it's important that we protect their expertise and their talents and their space for them to focus on our children and doing what they do best every single day. We firmly stand against the effort to arm teachers because we know it won't create a safer environment, and that only highly trained and experienced officers should be allowed to carry a firearm on our campus. We have been fortunate, again, to have this strong partnership with MNPD, with the city leadership, with our school board, with our leaders. But ultimately, the best plan is to have a plan. And so we're creating plans. We're practicing those plans. Our staff members are already back working through those plans and scenarios to just make sure we're ready on day one to welcome our children and our families back to a safe and secure learning environment.
And I was really impressed with your swift response when the announcement was made that teachers could be armed. You immediately came out with a statement saying, no, they are not going to be armed here. That was a huge relief for me personally, and I know a lot of parents and teachers feel that way too. You tend to respond so swiftly to these changes, both on a government level and emergencies that are very local, like with weather. Can you walk me through how the planning of those go?
Just some fundamental things that we try to operate by is ensuring that we're moving quickly, but also carefully and thoughtfully, because we understand the need to communicate to families. So there's not a space of just creating, narratives around where we are. But we want to be careful. And we want to be thoughtful because safety of our families and our students and our educators are top of mind. I mean, keeping the best interest of students is always the spirit by which we work, and also our people who show up every day to pour into our children. But making sure we're covering our bases, reaching out to everyone on as many platforms as possible. Again, I'm very fortunate to serve in this capacity in Nashville because I have so many partners in so many different areas of expertise that we're able to tap into. But in terms of emergency situations, it starts again with a lot of planning and preparation, knowing that at any given time there could be an emergency that needs to be addressed and quickly identifying the best way to safely address it. In terms of communication, we start with a mindset of being responsive, being accurate, and being timely with information. And I think that goes with a lot of grace because things just can be so unpredictable sometimes. You have everything from weather situations, which are, I think the meteorologists and all the experts in that space will also share is still unpredictable. But then you have other emergency situations like the pandemic and like the unfortunate tragedy at Covenant that just requires you to lean on your training, your expertise to respond in the best interest of everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Battle, for taking time out of your very busy schedule and joining me here.
Thank you so much for having me. We're again looking forward to a great school year and welcoming everyone back on August 6th.
We're excited.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Margaret. That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. Also, be nice to your kids. It's a long week. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye.